Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Western New York High School Football Weekly. Tom Prince, Frank Wolf, and Tim Gardner producing today's show. Got a lot to get after. We're getting to the championship rounds here of the high school season. Playoffs right around the corner. And last week there was a number of games with playoff implications. Some hearts are slowly being broken, Tom, and other schools are finding their way into this playoff picture.
Yeah, there's some, I thought, very big games last week that had implications on the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. And we're going to be excited as we go over this week.
So this past week, you were at St. Francis, St. Joe's, and then on Saturday you went to the Lackawanna Olean game. Friday I was at Ken West Star Point, and then I went over to check out Cat Little Valley versus St. Mary's of Lancaster in a public versus private. I knew somebody was going to win that game. Those programs have been down, so I wanted to get out and see some of the players. I'll tell you, I was somewhat impressed with Cat Little Valley. There's,
Didn't they go out to a 14-0 lead?
They did. Yeah. They did. They played them very tough. It's been a while. I wouldn't say that there's no real stud, right? There's no Tate Catneys there. There's no Bryce Hinsdale there. There's no, Nahir, whatever. There's nobody really. There's no solid football player there. But they've got a lot of kids that work really hard that can do things, and they had a chance to win that game. They probably should have won that game. So hats off to them on Saturday. They gave it a great effort. I got to see Israel Wilson. I know I talked about him a couple of times. The dude's just. We can't sleep on this kid. I know he's only a sophomore, but he is like a special team phenom. Whenever he fielded a punt or a kickoff, he took it. He didn't give up. He fought for every yard and flashes of brilliance.
65 yards rushing, one reception, but the one reception went for 30 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. He almost took
Not bad off the top of my head on that
one. he almost took a kickback for a touchdown. So he's pretty impressive. He's a player definitely to watch. The Ken West Star Point game was a coming out party for a couple of guys. Ken West woke up a few weeks ago. Thought it might have been just maybe they had a good day after that Sweet Home debacle. But I'll tell you, this Kenmore West team has some players on it. Watch this kid.
Look at the line. Look at that line. He's got size like a AA line out there.
Where do you see this catch? Even the video doesn't do it justice. I was standing on the sideline right in front of this catch. He had no business making that catch. That was a pure athletic move by that receiver, and he was a Connolly Cup top performer this week. And I'll tell you, Star Point was tough, but Kenmore West was like a step ahead. Big win for Ken West. This kid, Deontay Rogers, he's turning out to be a fantastic football player, doing it in all phases of the game. He's all over the field. There's one impressive touchdown run after another. Look how he gets to the outside, finds a hole, and takes it 30 yards. And Lombardo was healthy for that game. He was out there for Star Point. And it's going to take him maybe another week to get back. They get Sweet Home this week, but Star Point, Ken West handled them. The Richardson running back is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Worth noting, they did go to their backup quarterback late in the third. Aaron Chase's younger brother, David, came into the game to spark that offense a little bit. So I think we might see a little bit more of him as the season goes on. But he's still fine. Just I think they wanted a spark, Tom.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see all that. But you were at Franny's Joe's on Friday. How did you like that one?
I did a lot. And really it was, we were waiting to see. It was going to be the air attack of St. Francis versus the run attack of St. Joe's. And really is the battle of the trenches. We both know that Canisius, Joe's, Franny's, all are going to be big, strong, heavy teams in the trenches. And really that's what we were waiting to see. That was Dom Cook Jr. You saw score there. He was the primary running back in the second half. We've seen Penapento and him go back and forth based upon the set of plays that were out there. This is the first time they went back and forth the first half, but you saw Cook Jr. in the second half for Joe's.
Was that for the speed element? He just is a little quicker.
I just think he was, you know what I mean? It was more of they were having success with him.
A hotter hand.
Right. And they moved Penapento out to wide receiver is what they did. So it wasn't like Penapento was not on the field. He was still out there. But I got to tell you something. This Welka does not get enough credit. He really doesn't. And what I witnessed inside this game, their starting center got injured. Yeah. His hand got injured. They went to a second and third center during this game. And I'm telling you, I cannot say how many different snaps did not reach Welka that he had to pull up off the ground or jump in the air to be able to stop from happening, and still did what he did. Like, there wasn't negative plays. He would turn one of those into a 2-yard gain that would have been, for most people, a 15-yard loss. I cannot say enough that this kid is the real deal and is absolutely one of the top quarterbacks in this area. Yes, we've got a lot of good ones, but he really just shown instincts. That's really what I kept saying on air. I couldn't believe his instincts to be able to get these balls and then find a different hole that was out there so he could go through and at least make it a positive play. I'll tell you, I couldn't give enough accolades at the end of this game. And when you talk to Coach Jerry Smith, if you go back and listen to that post-game interview, he goes on and on about his quarterback and what he did and really what he saw out on the field. And it was something that was different to watch.
We're going to hear from Landon Welka in just a little bit. We have a recorded interview with him that we'll show you in just a little bit. Some of the other highlights from games we did, I don't know if we have highlights from Hamburg-Will East. I know we were at that game. A sophomore receiver from Will East had himself a day, was a Connolly Cup top performer. What's his name again, Timmy?
Joe
Santoro? Yeah, so this kid has been slowly having a couple of good weeks.
This is the play that came out after the catch and then runs it in for a touchdown right there.
Wow. But McKinney has been having himself a year, too, for Will East, the quarterback there. I mean, look at that dime. So McKinney's having a good year, too, at Will East. A couple other games that we did, we had McKinley and Will North. I think you were on that game.
No, I was supposed to be, if you remember, yes. But unfortunately, I had to because I had a work function that night go to. But listen, this was going to be a game that was going to come into seedings right here. And Will North is really starting to show that they are a top 8 team to reckon with. And listen, I am excited for what we're going to see this week because this is the true matchup right now for Will North that's coming up this week as they're ready to take on Clarence.
Yeah, Weisman, the quarterback for Will North. He's been consistent, Tom. I think maybe Will North is starting to come out of that shell a little bit. They played spoiler last year. I think they want to take another step this year and prove that we're not just here to spoil. We want to be in on the mix here. Can't ask for a better opportunity than to take on Class A number 1 Clarence.
Well, if you remember, the last week it was wasn't it Lockport Will North to get into that last game? Lockport wins.
Yes.
But this is really big right here because that McKinley win really is going to show into those rankings right there as to where things are going to play out inside that A division. Yeah. Remember, 4 from one side, 4 from the other side will get into that finals.
Now McKinley has lost 2 straight, and they have a non-conference game tomorrow night against St. Joe's.
But remember, that other one was a non-conference loss, that other loss too.
Yeah, it is, but still, I like if you're playing Class A team, I know if it's A1 or A2,
yes.
But I still call that a conference game. I guess I'm just different that way. How about Jamestown Lancaster? That game was pretty close.
Close. I mean, if you remember, late in the game, Tim, 2 minutes to go. Jamestown's got a 13-7. No, 5 minutes to go. Jamestown's got a 13-7 lead. Lancaster scores with 2 minutes to go to make it a 14-13 game. So this is 14-13 right here with 2 minutes to go. And then obviously Lancaster comes on big for the victory. But I want you to just think about this for Jamestown. Jamestown loses by 4 to Bennett, by 1 to Orchard Park, and by 7 to Lancaster. And really it was a 1-point game with 2 minutes to go. I'm telling you, if you don't think Jamestown can be a team that can reckon inside this Double A playoffs, then you really haven't been watching any of these
Paying
games.
attention. No, and I think they would love to get another date with Lancaster. They definitely love another date with Orchard Park. They should get one.
I don't know if they can, because it depends where they land in the rankings, right? Because if you look at right now where things are in the B, Jamestown's sitting at that 5 spot. So right now, if everything were to hold serve, I understand there's more games to go. Let's say it holds serves. That means the 4-5 game is Niagara Falls and Jamestown.
Okay.
Winner plays Bennett.
By the way, they do play, I think, the final week of the season.
Niagara Falls, but that would just be a
Yeah.
flip. It would still be that was what you're going to see the next week, because it looks like right now Orchard Park has a game still left with Bennett, so that Bennett Orchard Park is pretty much done. But Lancaster has seen Bennett Orchard Park and Jamestown at this point. So think about it. Lancaster, if they have only one loss, Orchard Park can get a second loss, but will have wins over Niagara Falls and Jamestown, which will leave them in that 3 spot. So it could go, again, a lot of things still to play out. But I think that 4-5 is almost set between Niagara Falls and Jamestown, which means you play there next, and then your next game is Bennett.
And then also there was that Olean Lackawanna game on Saturday. Joe Mest coming up from Olean to take on Lackawanna. You were there. Is the quarterback in yet? The quarterback from Bennett that left, is he still out?
Yes.
Okay, so he's still. And did I hear Clark was available or what?
No, Clark was out
He
with
didn't
a
play
boot.
either.
Yep, he was a boot. He had an ankle injury.
Before the game.
Correct.
So Lackawanna gets this done. Amir Douglas was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me he was having a moment on the sideline.
This poor kid, like, if you would have watched the game and not knew what was going on in the field, you would have been like, he's giving up on the runs towards the end of these. What is he doing? How's he not getting into the end zone? I watched as he comes off after his second touchdown, literally looks at everyone along the sideline and goes, my stomach hurts bad. I'm going to get sick. And he was getting sick as he was still out there making an impact on that field for his team. He left everything on the field. He really did. But I'm also not going to say, I can't say this enough, and I've said it, over and over again. This line for Lackawanna is something. Yeah. And when you sit here and watch what they were doing defensively, it just was unbelievable to witness. And Sammy looks that much better even than what he did last year. Wow. I love, you can see he's put the work in the weight room. You can see he's got a different body. And I'm telling you, he will command 2 and 3 players. If you're going to see you're going to stop him, he will command a double or a triple team.
So we just ran through all the highlights of games we did do. Any other game of notice that we didn't mention? I know you had a couple.
Medina Alden.
Okay, so Medina does a number on Alden.
Yes. And now I want to go back, okay? Medina's only loss was week 1 against Newfane. But this was, if you look at Medina's line, it has freshmen, sophomores, juniors. It is a very, very young line that was seeing their first high school varsity game ever. So you have to start off against one of the best teams in your conference, and the best, they did really well. This line is getting it underneath their feet, and they are opening up some major holes, and Moss is finding those holes and having huge days out there. I'm telling you, folks, if you thought Medina wasn't out of this or you thought they were done, absolutely not. This Medina team is for real, and we're going to see it come to playoffs.
They had 2 guys rush for over 150 yards, Christian Moss and Jason Wells. The Woodworth brothers, Preston still there, quarterback, and there's another Woodworth brother there too as well, Carter Woodworth. But Medina, first quarter 13-0, they threw on another 24 in the second. So they just bulldozed a team that, by the way, just beat Newfane a week earlier. Now, they did that even without Westmiller, but this was just too much of a maybe
it just shows how good this Medina team's getting
the right
experience now, right? Seeing it, feeling it, know they can be successful. And not only that Woodworth to Woodworth connection is when he rolls out and finds Woodworth to Woodworth out there, it is unstoppable because in a lot of cases, he hid the ball so well that you really thought because of the kind of runs that Moss will go for, everyone's going for Moss and then he's rolling out and it's a one-on-one matchup.
His brother, wasn't he the quarterback last year? His older brother?
Yes.
Same way.
Yeah.
Same thing. Now, Preston, I think you'll hear it in the interview with the coach. He's a baseball player.
They're all baseball.
But he didn't play football last year.
Right.
He came back.
And that's what he said is this year I've got so many people that are young on this team that hadn't had experience. And here they are. They roll into the first game and went against a team that did have experience.
And they were making contributions.
Yeah. The other game I would tell you that the two other games I would recognize too, Will South over Grand Island, which I thought was a big victory because Grand Island really had been coming on strong. And then the other one, Cleve Hill gets their ticket into the playoffs with a win over Akron 26-20 in that one.
Yeah, you had to. It was the Caesar kid from Will South had a very big game for them. And I think another guy had a couple of interceptions for them to help solidify that win there. Why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back with our interview with Landon Welka. Tim, can we go right into that after the break? Okay. You're watching Western New York High School Football Weekly. We'll be back with our interview with Landon Welka after a word from our sponsor.
We've got a VIP at 3 o'clock.
We're gonna go side right pick, Riptide Blazer, safety key, full boat up 3. On now, ready? They're all VIPs.
Go Team West Herb.
And remember, you can call me anytime.
Anytime?
Oh, this is my client.
Hello! Injury attorney William Mattar always puts his clients first.
I gotta take this. There you go. So, I gotta take this.
He's recovered millions for injured accident victims.
Easy out, easy out.
Ooh, it's mine! This is William.
Hurt in a car? Call William Mattar.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
Eden?
Eden St. Joe's.
Our guest today is Landon Welka, the senior quarterback from St. Francis High School. Landon, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
60% completion percentage so far, just shy of 1,000 yards. Last year you were over 1,300, so you're inching closer to eclipsing that mark. 11 touchdowns on the season. Seems like your two big targets are Damone Allen and Tucker Job. Allen's a senior. Job, I believe, is just a junior.
He's a senior as well.
Job's a senior? Okay. Now,
Yeah.
last year, one touchdown between the two of them. This year, there's like 7.
Mhm.
So you're getting them involved. I mean, what's it like playing with those two? You have two legitimate top receivers there at your disposal. Last year, you had Pendergrass going and Yolanga, but this year you got two really good wideouts. Talk about playing with those two guys.
Yeah, definitely. Tucker, me and him have been playing football together since the beginning, since Pee Wee football, all
Which
through
one's where?
Eden, Little Loop.
Okay.
And we've just been playing together for however many years that is. And that chemistry just definitely built up over the years. And coming to this school with the high standards they have and the great coaches and the great atmosphere here just definitely helped us build and improve. And Damone definitely, since JV year, he came here sophomore year and we were lights out on JV. And then last year he didn't get the snaps on offense that I think he should have got, but he's definitely making an impact this year, and definitely just having that bond with him that we worked out all summer and during like off season training, we were always had that click, and that's definitely made it why that we had this great connection.
So talk to us last year compared to this year. Where have you seen the most growth in yourself? And then what have been the biggest growth as a team, would you say, from last year to this year?
Uh, Biggest growth for myself would definitely be being able to read defenses. Felt like last year I wasn't really the best at it, but having like the coaches here, like Coach Smith, Coach Otremba, and my quarterback coach, Coach Chukla, they were definitely like sat me down, helped me figure out like when to read defense, where the soft spots in the defense are, watching film, and that's definitely just made me improve as a quarterback. And the biggest growth of the team is definitely the camaraderie and the always playing together and for each other. Like that's our big thing this year is playing for each other because obviously we've had those situations where we were all sick, we had to forfeit a game, and we knew that we would come back stronger, and we just had to play for each other. So definitely that's definitely where we improved as a team.
A couple weeks ago, you had that big win over Cathedral Prep. You erased that loss from a year ago where you went to six overtimes. Just talk about finally getting over the hump of beating a team of that caliber.
Yeah, definitely. We coming into that week after the week break because we had to forfeit, and just watching the film and seeing where their soft spots in the defense were, and our defense played lights out. They played amazing, and I was just putting the ball where it needed to be, and my receivers and running backs were making plays, and the line was holding up, and it was just all together a great team win. And we definitely showed that we are still one of the top teams in this area, if not the top team.
For sure. Obviously, there was a hiccup there with Canisius. It's been a while since they were able to beat you guys, but they did that at Stransky Field just a couple weeks ago. Why don't we talk about that game, what you liked out of yourself, what you didn't like, and areas where you think collectively as a team you can improve in case you happen to match up with them again, which obviously appears like it very well can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Coming in that game, I feel like we underestimated them a little bit because they lost to Cathedral Prep, we beat Cathedral Prep, and I think that just kind of came back to bite us. And I like for myself how I was able to spread the ball around to not just one receiver. I think had like five different receivers with catches. A big game from Evan Necker, who really hasn't been on the spotlight. He's just a junior, and he had a great game, making big plays. And our defense struggled a little bit with the tackling but we definitely are going to improve on that. And when we play them again, which I know we will, it'll definitely be a different outcome, hopefully.
What kind of challenges did St. Joe's have for you guys this year? I know that that program had been struggling. You guys have been beating them by, three, four, five touchdowns in the last few years, but seems like last week's game was a little closer. Just talk about the challenges that they were uh, giving you guys this time around.
Yeah, they play hard. They got some dogs on the line, and their DBs are really good. And we came into that game knowing that they were probably going to take away Damone and try to double Damone, and that just opened up the door for other receivers to make plays. Like Eddie Gauthier had a great game. Tucker had a great game. And yeah, Larry Hardy had a breakout game. We switched up some things in the line after our center going down with a broken hand. So the snap exchange was not that good. We tried out different stuff and we just pulled away, and they definitely have improved over the years. But yeah,
Okay, so right now we talked a little bit off the air, life after high school for you. Right now you're looking at Mercyhurst, but you haven't really heard from them on the football side of things. You're also a lacrosse player. We're waiting to see how that shakes out. Mercyhurst, you visited John Carroll and St. John Fisher, but you really fell in love with the campus at Mercyhurst.
yeah.
What was it about the campus there?
It's just a gorgeous campus. It's only an hour and 20 minutes from my house, and the location is great. And it's just a beautiful old, nice buildings, and it's like the nature that is involved with it, and just a great place.
What do you want to study after school?
Business,
Okay. Any particular uh, facet of business or what do
sports
you?
management.
Okay. All right. Well, the St. Francis has produced quite a few of those guys in the last decade or so. Anybody in
Yeah.
particular that you like to shadow, or anybody that's left St. Francis that you kind of keep an eye on?
Like in terms of like at Mercyhurst or just like
Just anywhere? Like, is there anybody that came back to school that kind of gave you their story? Is how, you've had a GM in the NFL, you've had sons of GMs in the NFL, and Brian Polian, and coaches from that have guys have gone on to coach. Jerry Smith's own son is a coach. If there get guys that have
Mhm.
come back to the institution to kind of tell you about their life that maybe you said, I could do this.
Yeah, definitely Brian Dable. He was at a youth camp over 2 summers ago, and he came and spoke to us. And the things he was saying is just really eye opening, and like how he came from the school and played football. And yeah, he definitely was definitely one of the inspirations of why I want to study sports management after high school.
You see yourself as a coach at all?
I don't know, but time will tell.
What are some of the things about Coach Smith that he's kind of leaving the impression on you? What are some of the things about him that we may not know?
He's just a great guy. Like he's just the way he coaches is amazing. Like 1 minute he says this phrase that we yell at you because we love you. So when he's screaming at your face in practice, have to take it with a grain of salt, and then the next play you fix it, do it right, and he's just a great coach overall. He's been doing this for 45 years, and yeah, he's just a great person to have leading you guys.
Is there one moment in particular that stands out above them all? Maybe a scrimming match, or is there one Jerry Smith moment that you can remember that you're going to take with you?
Ooh, that's tough. Definitely, it was probably in practice the one day. He was screaming at I think it was screaming at me and like the offense because we were not having like that good of a thing. And the next play that we ran at practice, I think I threw a touchdown pass to I forget who it was, but we had music playing and he ran down the field and he just started dancing. And that was just a funny moment and definitely brought the practice energy back up. So yeah, and then we had a great practice from there on out.
Can he dance?
Kind of. He tries. He tries.
Um, Obviously, we'll go back just a little bit to Canisius. Got the big win, and you guys should match up with them again. But you do have Timon coming up, and they present some challenges as well. In fact, just a week ago, they had a lead on Canisius at halftime. What are you looking? Let's talk about that game first before we go back to Canisius. So, Timon this week. What are you seeing on film, and what are some of the challenges they're going to present?
They definitely play hard, play with grit. And like this is our first time playing them in a couple years, so I'm really excited because they've been running the B division and now they're back up here. So I've always wanted to play them because I've been hearing stories about how they used to be the top dog in our division. We play them in every other sport, and I just want to play them in football and see how we match up. And hopefully we take them down because homecoming and yeah.
We'll go to Canisius again. It looks like you have a shot at playing them for another championship. What would it mean to walk off the field victorious, and what's it going to take? Because Canisius right now has the momentum on their side. They got the bragging rights. What's it going to take?
Gonna take everything. Our defense is gonna have to play lights out. I'm gonna have to play lights out. But I have full confidence that the coaches and the staff here will definitely get us ready, and it'd mean the world to us, and definitely go for that 4-peat. So and carry that torch on, and leave it here. I was talking with an interview yesterday, and he was like, "What would it mean for you to get the 4-peat?" And I said, "I don't want to be the person that would end the streak of the championships." So definitely we got a chip on our shoulder, and we're definitely going to be ready to play.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Landon, we want to thank you for coming on the show today, Western High School Football Weekly. Obviously, you're getting a lot of accolades. I hear the Connolly Cup mention your name a number of times, weekly top performer. So obviously, you're in that conversation of top players in the area. So it was important we finally got a chance to talk with you, and we wish you the best of luck and stay healthy the rest of the season. I know you had that scary situation down in Pennsylvania not long ago, but we're glad to see you make a complete recovery from that and leading the Red Raiders.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Landon Welka, St. Francis, senior quarterback.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
You're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For more information, visit www.paulwolfagency.com.
Look, Patriot account is not going to close itself. Looks like you're going to be here late again. I need this by morning.
Oh no, not again. My son has a football game tonight.
WNYathletics.com. You can link me later.
WNY Athletics, your home for high school sports.
Yes.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
For an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs, more information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.
So welcome back, everybody, to the Western New York High School Football Weekly. We want to start off by sending our condolences out to one of our play-by-play announcers here with Western New York Athletics. His name is Charlie Britton. Unfortunately, Charlie just today lost his mother, and we really want to make sure everybody understands that our thoughts and prayers and our hearts right now go out to Charlie and his entire family, and that he knows that all of Western New York Athletics is here for him and is his family for anything he needs. And right now he's in our hearts.
Very well said. Very well said. Difficult day for him and his family for sure. We're going to start, since we just did that interview with Lyndon Welko, who's a very bright young man, obviously very talented. Why don't we start going over the Monsignor Martin rankings, or I'm sorry, the actual standings this week. And Canisius is right at the top at 4-2, followed by Franny's at 3-2, Joe's 2-3. Then there's Bishop Timon 1-4, St. Mary's 4-2, and Cardinal O'Hara 0-5. But Mary's and O'Hara are in that B division, so there's really two divisions there, A and B, as you know. Joe's plays a non-conference game against McKinley Thursday night. Timon and Franny's face each other. Very big matchup for Timon to see that, because they're back in the playing for so they really want to. This is a big test for them. I think they're ready for it too. I do think they're ready for it. I don't think the record shows exactly how. I don't think it does them justice. They're a better team than the 1-4 record. O'Hara is playing another team out of Section 5, Edison, and then Canisius is welcoming Erie into town to play them. That's going to be a pretty good game at Stransky Field Saturday. So those are the games this weekend.
Can we just add into that? Because even though those are the records, really is Canisius has locked the number 1 seed up at this point, is what happened. So Canisius does have the number 1 seed. St. Francis will have the number 2 seed with a win over Timon, and then it becomes down to 3 and 4 seed once Joe's and Timon play each other there. So that's kind of what we're going to see play out. Because remember the playoffs, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. That home field advantage really will become very, very important.
So looking forward to that. Now, why don't we head over into Double A, and you'll see Bennett still at the top at 4-0, followed by Orchard Park at 4-1 with Lancaster. Niagara Falls 2-2, Jamestown only 1-3 in Double A, but those 3 losses separated by 8 points, as Tom alluded to earlier. Lockport still looking for their first win in Double A, along with Hutch Tech. Lockport gets Bennett this week.
Now, technically, Lancaster is the number 2 seed because they have the win over Orchard Park. So
Correct.
It really should be Bennett, Lancaster, then Orchard Park is what that rankings would look like.
That's what it should be, yes. So, again, you're saying, Tom, Bennett's most likely going to get that bye week.
with a win over Orchard Park. They get the win over the Orchard Park. They clinch that number 1 seed. If then Bennett does beat Orchard Park should then turn around and be the number 3 seed because they'll still have wins over Niagara Falls and Jamestown. So it'll be, if that were to play out, Bennett 1, Orchard Park 2, Lancaster 3. Now, here's where things could get very interesting. That is, if Orchard Park can beat Bennett, you'd have a 3-way tie up top, and that's when tiebreakers now will come into play. But it is interesting if you look at the tiebreakers as far as scoring there goes right now. I think Bennett still wins that tiebreaker depending on the score of the game with Orchard Park if that were to happen. Then it would go to a head-to-head again between Lancaster and Orchard Park, and it would still fall Bennett 1, Lancaster 2, Orchard Park 3.
And, of course, Lockport can screw everything up by upsetting Bennett this weekend.
Absolutely. And if you remember last year, the closest game Bennett had was against Lockport.
Who's got Niagara Falls this week?
Niagara Falls has got Lancaster.
Yeah, now Niagara Falls got that young quarterback out there that's definitely cause for concern. Cause enough concern for Lancaster, we'll have to wait and see. But at least Niagara Falls is playing better football. I want to give them a shout-out and congrats those kids. Hopefully they can keep that going together and play spoiler here.
Yep. And that line is a big line. They can play with a lot of these lines out here. And look, they took Orchard Park to the brink. They took Orchard Park to overtime, too.
Moving on to A1 and A2 collectively. So our graphic will come up in just a second. You'll be able to see the standings there as A1. Clarence ahead of McKinley, Will North, West Seneca West, and then there's Niagara Wheatfield and Frontier. Doesn't look like Frontier or really even Niagara Wheatfield will get in there. I guess it's possible Niagara Wheatfield may have a shot, Tom. I haven't really looked at their I don't remember looking.
Well, they go out of conference this week against Orchard Park and then finish against Will North.
Yeah.
So what you look at the key matchup right there is that West Seneca West has got to win over Niagara Wheatfield. So they've got to somehow totally leapfrog them, which would be very difficult to do.
Think about that. Will North has Clarence this weekend. That's a road one. And then they get Niagara Wheatfield. So, if Will North can't win that game and Niagara Wheatfield finds a way to beat Will North, and West Seneca West, are they done? Or they should have one more conference game. West Seneca West loses their last game. Don't they get McKinley this week or next week? Whenever it is.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is a tie, though, with Niagara Wheatfield would give West Seneca West the advantage. Still.
Okay.
So it would have to be a 3-way tie to toss things into a little bit of a tizzy. And that would mean Niagara Wheatfield's got to beat Will North in that
They've
last
got to beat
game.
Will North no matter what. Yes, of course. Moving on to A2. You've got Sweet Home at 4-0, and then that's Ken West, Star Point, each at 3-1. Ken West with the big win last Friday. Then Will East still not out of this at 2-3, and then there's Hamburg and North Tonawanda.
Top four get in. Yeah, it's top four. So, but
there's no movement there
because Hamburg, Will East had that big win over Hamburg.
Yeah.
So that was, remember we talked about coming in. That was one of the games we were looking at.
They're set, but position. Is that the way it's going to shake out, Tim? 1 through 4? There could be some movement. Yeah, exactly. Kenmore West, I don't think they can get past Sweet Home then.
They already have a loss to Sweet
because they have the loss there.
But what happens is if you turn them into 3-way ties then, because that's when it muddies the water and you go into other tiebreakers.
Yeah. Sweet Home has to beat Star Point to stay right where they are, host that first playoff game, and then that would. Can you go back to A1? So Sweet Home could be playing like a Will North, a Niagara Wheatfield, or a West Seneca West, or even maybe a McKinley.
Oh yeah, depending on how things break down. Absolutely.
And then it looks like Clarence then would play that A2 team, possibly a Will East, or even a Star Point at that point. Will East has the win over Star Point, don't they, Tim? No, that's Will North had the win over.
And McKinley has got to win over West Seneca West too. So that'll come into big play there, right there, as far as that to be able to stop them from going all the way down into the 4th spot.
Tim, according to your records, Will East can't move above that 4 spot. They're solid in 4. They're not moving. Okay. Okay. So Will East most likely on the road then against Clarence in the first win. I don't know if we can call that game just yet, but
think about that. How dangerous is Will East as a 4 seed here? We always say that, like these teams that are coming in, getting hot late. Will East is one of these hot teams that could be very dangerous with a big quarterback right here in Western New York.
For sure. Let's keep going here. What are some? Well, there's an A game standing out to you this week, Tom. You got.
The A game is Will North Clarence.
Will North Clarence, but Star Point Sweet Home too is
Oh,
another.
Star Point Sweet Home, absolutely. But boy, I just love that Will North Clarence game.
Yeah.
I really think that's going to be a big game. And I agree with you. There's nothing, that Star Point Sweet Home game is going to be a big thing. The question will be, what did Star Point learn in that Ken West game? Because you're going to see a line very similar to what you just saw with Ken West with Sweet Home. And what are you going to do to be able to attack and deal with that big line?
And let's face it, the Sweet Home had their way with Ken West.
That's exactly, you know what I mean, what you talked about. But what I'm saying is, look at what Ken West just did against Sweet Home.
Exactly.
And if you remember...
Well, Star Point.
Yeah, I'm sorry, with Star Point. If you remember Tim Racy last week, he alluded to that line. He goes, these guys are big. We got to make sure we figure out this line. And now they're going to deal with the same thing again this week, and a team that really beat Ken West and beat them convincingly, too.
Yeah. So that's our A1, A2 update. Carrying on, why don't we get into, why don't we at least touch on B, and then we'll come back. We have Eric Valley interview that we're going to play. Why don't we go through our Bs now, get through our Bs. And if you're looking at the B1, Tom, Health Science still on top at 3-0, followed by Will South at 4-1, and then Grand Island. And then it looks like Amherst, West Seneca East, and Ken Maurice are all in the Funky Bowl conversation right now.
But give Amherst credit. That's a big win they had over Ken Maurice, getting their first conference win there.
And then in B2, Pioneers continues to stay on top with the 4-0 right now. South Park at 3-1. Iroquois right behind them. I'm not sure if they're out just yet, but Iroquois still hanging in there right now. Lakeshore, East Aurora, and Cheektowaga most likely heading for that Funky Bowl as well. Lackawanna, 5-0. Maryville, 4-1 with a healthy Isaiah Hill. But as you said to me earlier, Tom, they were without Trayvon last week.
Yeah, Tryon there. And Hill only played defense.
Okay.
Only played on one side of the ball. So obviously, this is a team that has been a little bit banged up. But I'm going to tell you, folks, if they can get to the playoffs and get back to full strength, this is a very, very dangerous team that could easily come out of this division, especially if they get real healthy.
So one of the teams here, Tom, up in B1 that didn't necessarily start out too hot is Will South.
Mm-hmm.
They got themselves in a little bit of trouble with losses to South Park, losses to Health Sciences, struggled against Amherst, but then got back on track with a win at West Seneca East. And then last week, I felt, Tom, their biggest win of the season against Grand Island.
Yeah.
They get Pioneer this week at home, and then Will East, which doesn't mean much in the standings. But Will South might be another one of those wild card teams. You know, I can't see him beating Pioneer, Tom. And that's not a conference game for them, right?
No, it's not.
Technically,
It'll
so
be the
they
B1,
are
B2.
done.
Yep.
They could be a playoff team at this point. Not exactly sure. Or you're looking at, could you get 4 teams out of B3? You got Depew and Olean putting serious pressure on teams there.
So that would mean I don't think you can.
Okay.
Because here's my reasoning. I don't know, with Grand Island being that other team that's 3-1 right now,
Yeah.
Grand Island's games that they have left at this point are Will East, which would be non-conference,
Yep.
and then Health Sciences. So even if they lose that game, right, that still puts them at 3-2 inside the conference right there. And then you look at the teams that are left right here.
But Will South is done. They're 4-1 in that conference anyway.
Correct. No, what I'm trying to say is you asked about the 4 teams down below.
Yep.
2 automatically go. So you got to say is right now Health Sciences and Will South are, poised to right now get those spots. Grand Island's your wild card right there. Iroquois is your wild card inside the B2. And then you got Depew, Olean, Springville is your wild cards right now in the B3. Now, Depew will play Olean this week. That'll cause a third loss for somebody right there.
Yeah.
That happens right there. You're going to kick one of them right out of the mix right here. And then the same thing as Springville still has got left.
Lackawanna this week.
They got Lackawanna, and then they'll finish with Lewiston Porter. So they have to have that upset over Lackawanna right there to be able to get in. So let's just say, sake of argument, they don't have that upset. You're now talking it's either Depew or Olean, And Grand Island right there is the as a 2-1s with Iroquois waiting to see what happens with them.
And then Maryville, Tom, they have Dunkirk this week, and then Lackawanna the following Saturday.
Yep.
So, I mean, they've got 2 B3 games right there. You got to think they're going to go 5-2 at that point.
Well, remember,
you got to think they're going to be able to handle Dunkirk.
So you would think they could win the game, and then it's now a toss-up. Are you at full strength going into the Lackawanna game?
And is Lackawanna at full strength?
And that's another thing.
Clark was in a
That's
bowl,
right.
so.
Clark that you're all talking about. There's a lot of things still to figure out there, but that's why I'm saying is when you say is there 4 teams, I don't think 4 teams can get inside the B3 because of there's still some matchups left. And then Iroquois, who we talked about as being the other team that is kind of we're waiting to see. Iroquois' last games go Hamburg and then East Aurora. So obviously when we look at the standings, Hamburg is a non-conference matchup, but a game again, their last game is a very winnable game.
Sure
so now
is.
you go to 3-2. The only difference now becomes, remember, these conferences, it's not your record, it's your winning percentage.
Yes.
And that will still come into the mix into what's going on here as far as these teams.
Just to remind everyone, Grand Island non-conference game Will East, but then the week after they close at home against Health Sciences, which is playing their best football right now, which is when you want to be playing your best football. And then Grand Island had that hiccup last week against Will South. We're going to go into the season in just a moment. Why don't we take a quick commercial break? We'll come back with Eric Valley out of the break. He is the head coach of the Upsurge Medina Mustangs. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
You're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For more information, visit www.paulwolfagency.com.
Look, Patriot account is not going to close itself. Looks like you're going to be here late again. I need this by morning.
Oh no, not again. My son has a football game tonight.
WNYathletics.com. You can thank me later.
WNY Athletics, your home for high school sports.
Yes.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
For an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs, more information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.
Welcome back to Western New York High School Football Weekly. Tom Prince, Frank Wolf, and Tim Gardner here with you on this lovely Wednesday night. Weather's starting to get a little better. It was terrible yesterday.
Yeah, we've been fighting through those rain
Yeah.
showers, no doubt.
What's it supposed to be this weekend for these games? Any idea?
I don't, not off the top of my head.
Beautiful. Tim saying good. All right, break the shorts back out. Why don't we take a look at those Connolly Cup top performers from this past week? They are Week 6. Chase Bonta from Jamestown, Avery Cruz, Maryvale Max, Dio, Portville, Amir Douglas, Lackawanna, Carter Jabu, Pioneer, Douglas Hunt, Cleve Hill, Maddock Isaac from Salamanca, Justice Kleiss from Iroquois, Avon Jackson, Kenmore West, Xavier Peters, another guy from Salamanca, CJ Pratt from Amherst, Kamari Reimers from Will North, Joe Santoro, the sophomore from Will East, Nick Skutnick from Iroquois, and Jimmy Valentine from Bennett all made the Week 6 Players of the Week for the Connolly Cup. Final 10, getting closer to getting down to the final 10 Connolly Cup guys here. We only got a few more weeks for guys to make their cases to be named the top player in Western New York. Trench Trophy, they came out with their list as well the other day. They are Ethan Farley from St. Francis, Brody Fry from Medina, Khalil Golden from Newfane, Josh Krieger from Portville, Max Smith, Will East, Max Weinreb from Will South, and Jackson Willis from Amherst. Wow, two guys from Williamsville. The Williamsville North didn't have a lineman this week.
and I'll tell you, the Brody Fry one is interesting. If you remember last year, Brody played more of a tight end position, would go out for passes, really was a big part of that offense. And they've moved him to the offensive line. Granted, so you're hearing his name more on the defensive side of the ball, but that's a lot to ask somebody from their senior year to go back down, play the line, and be that leader on the line. And Brody Fry has done exactly that and deserves credit for that.
Well, we're going to hear from Medina Mustangs head coach Eric Valley right now, and I believe he mentions that in the interview about having to go to Brody and see him, have him play a more integral role in an effort to get back to Highmark Stadium. Why don't we hear from Eric Valley from Medina Mustangs? Our next guest is from Medina, the head coach of the football team, Eric Valley. And Medina last year had a very successful season. But prior to entering this fall, we had talked to Eric a number of times about which direction the program was going to go in. He was worried that they may have to entertain that 8-man, but they're still in 11 and they're 5-1, and their only loss was a week 2 loss at home to Newfane, who is one of the top teams in Class C North. But they lost to Alden, so you got yourself a log jam, Mr. Valley, and you're right in the thick of things yet again. Why don't we talk about this season so far and where you thought process was maybe about 6 months ago to where you are now?
Yeah, we knew our numbers were going to be low going into the season, and we lost a lot of seniors. We had to replace 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen. So we did some shuffling around of personnel and kind of got people into some different positions that they're not used to playing. But so it took us a little while. We didn't have a lot of experience at the start of the season, and it showed. We met Newfane week 2, and they were a very experienced team, and they played very well against us, and we just we weren't ready yet, and we're still trying to get ready. But we've got some kids that are getting a little bit more comfortable in the positions that they're at, and our numbers are still pretty low. A typical practice for us is probably 15 kids. I've got 2 kids that dual sport and play soccer, and I have 2 freshmen that are playing modified as well. That they just come up and help us practice. So the numbers are low, so we're making the most of it, and the kids are getting better each week. And we don't do a lot of hitting in practice; we really can't. So that's our kids are pretty healthy for the most part, which is going to be key for us down the stretch.
So you get a big win over Akron just a few weeks ago, and then you follow that up with this looks like a lopsided game against Alden, who was coming into that game undefeated. They had knocked off Newfane 7-6. We know they're without at least one of the top linemen in Western New York and Robbie Westmiller. But talk about this game against Alden and how it got so one-sided.
Obviously they're a different team without Westmiller up front. It definitely made a difference. And, we said that we're going to go right after. We wanted to run the ball, try and be physical. This was a game that was a good test for us up front to be real physical and give us that challenge. They also actually lost their running back early in the first quarter. So they were kind of reeling and trying to keep things together. And, my kids played a phenomenal first half. We got a little sloppy in the second half, but I overall was very pleased with the way our kids played and responded.
So you're going to have the West New York Maritime Tapestry School. That's a road game for your team. It's I think it's the last class or sectional game that you have on the season. You finish up against who was that? At Albion. So basically, you've got this game here, and then an out of conference game against a B school. You got one more game that you really got to win to solidify yourself in that, maybe getting yourself a home playoff game. Did you think that was a possibility at the beginning of the season, this late in the season, to be not only secure yourself in the playoffs, but actually hosting a playoff game.
I knew we'd be in the mix to get one of the top 4 spots. I thought that. I didn't think, after week 2 we got pushed around pretty good. I didn't foresee us, kind of rebounding as well as we have. And right now things are getting real interesting in our league. Cleve Hill's playing really good football, and they still have to play Alden and Newfane. So a lot of things could really shake out here in the last 2 weeks to really change kind of the trajectory of looking at playoffs. But we'd love to host a playoff game. We don't care if we travel; it doesn't really matter to us. Either one would be great. We'd just be happy to be part of the equation, or part of the bracket. In the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you could be, I could put my playoff cap on right now and tell you that you're looking at possibly a visit from the Portville Panthers. You could see, Faulkner, Cassadaga Valley, Maple Grove, or even Eden, North Collins, or Southwestern. So the plate is full in that regard in terms of teams that could show up. Um, Talk about though the way this team has transformed itself. We know about the running back Moss, but the quarterback position, replacing those linemen and getting the most out of the limited players you do have. It's almost like Wilson last year to some degree, where Wilson, who you know well, even though they're a Class D school, you have some history there. That team did it basically on Jack Mahar's back, rode that train all the way to sectionals. Is that similar to how your team's going this year?
We had Christian Moss returning. He's was the offensive player of the year for our league last year. And I think more importantly, we have Brody Fry returning as the defensive MVP of the league last year. And Brody made the transition from fullback down to guard. And he has just been unbelievable. I mean, if you watch us, he's one of those kids, he plays guard and inside linebacker, but he is just a force. And the crazy thing is he's a 16-year-old senior. He'll be 17 in a month here. And so he's young. But he has just got a nose for the football. He's, everything we've been doing is because of our defense, and he's he's the heart and soul of our defense. And offensively, for him to switch over to guard, it's been fun to watch. The kid has got more pancakes, I think, than any of the big boys I've had in the last few years. He's physical, tenacious, and really gets after it.
It doesn't seem like you're putting a lot on the plate of your young quarterback either, kind of limiting what he can do. Is he, you obviously have a lot of confidence in starting a sophomore, but just talk about that confidence that you have in this young man.
So, last year, Julian Woodworth was my quarterback. He was a 1-year starter, and Preston, his youngest brother, is the middle brother. Carter is actually my tight end and also plays linebacker for us. So
Who's got 3 touchdowns?
Yep, I've had the luxury of having all 3 of those boys. Preston didn't play football last year. He decided he's a very good baseball player too, and so he played some fall ball. And then this year, I'm glad that he decided to come out. It's taken a little bit of time just because he didn't play last year, and he's learning as we go. And I keep telling him, I was like, I never guarantee you would never fumble. I never guaranteed you would not throw an interception. So those things you just got to let roll off your back. And I think he's learning that. The
Nicholas Halter, please report to room 205.
It's all right.
He's starting to get all the mechanics down, and I press with him just like everyone else. It's all the little things that'll make your job easy, from the footwork and the handwork and just moving with and without the ball. He's had a really smooth transition into really blossoming into what's going to be a one heck of a quarterback. He's been clutch for us in some key situations.
Eric, there's a player on your team that doesn't get enough recognition for the contributions he makes. Obviously, you guys know him well, but Cole Collard, your kicker. Any chance you had an email this morning from Brandon Bean looking to talk to him?
I have not gotten that email. He's just phenomenal. I can't imagine there's many kickers in the state that are better than him. Mike Vanderjagt has worked with kickers all over the country, and he says by far this kid has got it. Whatever it takes to kick on Saturdays and Sundays and beyond. And he's a great kid, high GPA. And, one of the things that I think it's overlooked statistically a lot is the touchbacks, which as a
27?
defensive coordinator, special team, he's got 27 touchbacks. I think the next closest is like 6 in all Western New York.
I don't think collectively in the league you have 27 touchbacks. If you took every kicker from AA down to D in Monsignor Martin, that we even have 27 collectively. This is insane.
Yeah. It's been a huge key for us. I mean, you figure typically most schools are starting, most teams start the ball between the 30 and 40-yard line. So that's 2 more first downs that a team has to get. So, we've been blessed with really good field position all year because of him. He's only had to punt a handful of times, but he's a heck of a punter too. He hasn't missed a field goal yet. He had a couple blocked, but I think he's hit from 47, I think is his longest this year. Yeah. He's just what a different feeling it is for me, when we're at the 25-yard line, like, oh yeah, go ahead, let's just kick it. Most for the other 28 years that I've coached it never really came into to be an option, but it's been a wonderful weapon and tool for us to use this year and in the last couple of years.
So he seems to be, even though the numbers are short, well balanced. I mean, special teams is going good for you. Defense is stepping up to the task. And then when you can have a running back like Christian Moss at your disposal, it's just a well balanced team from top to bottom. Even though the numbers are short, with the success you're having this year, is that drawing any interest from some of the young guys that might not be part of the program just yet?
Our modified numbers are pretty good this year. I wish I knew what the magic carrot was to dangle to get more kids out, but this is happening around our section, around the state. It's we're not immune to the difficulties of trying to recruit kids, and we've added sports over the years, and yet our enrollments are just declining. I mean, we typically would graduate 140, 150 kids for probably the last 30 years, and now we have classes in the 90s. So we're losing, a third of our population is gone, and it's reflected on our sidelines as well.
Well, you think with the winning tradition that you guys have, I mean, you guys are at Highmark Stadium as much as anybody. And I don't think too many people, especially after last week, will count you out of that discussion. I know we took some slack a year or two ago for maybe doubting you guys getting back there, and hopefully use that as motivation for the kids. It seemed to work if you did, but we're not going to count you guys out anymore, because honestly, the job you and your coaching staff has done to coach these players up is paying off. You guys are again at the top of the Class C, along with Salamanca on the south side of things. But you're right up there with Salamanca again. So kudos to you guys, and of course all those kids that are working so hard week in, week out, day in, day out. To those guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely blessed with a very good coaching staff. I mean, there's a ton of experience there, and guys who are played Major League Baseball, played in the NFL, former Marine, a Division I wrestler. I've got some pretty accomplished coaches to work with, which makes my job a heck of a lot easier.
It sure does. We do want to wish you guys the best of luck the rest of the way. Appreciate you taking some time to join us on High School Football Weekly. Definitely one of the guys that we like to see on the sidelines when we get to Medina. Beautiful facility. I encourage everyone to get out there. You should have one more game there this year, yes?
No, our last two are on the road. So we're at
Your last two
Tapestry.
are on the road. So Maritime,
Yep.
okay. All right. Well, I know we were up there a couple of weeks ago doing a game. Tom had a great time up there, and appreciate you guys letting us in the press box. We do want to wish you guys the best the rest of the way. Stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you in the playoffs.
Great. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. That was Eric Valley, the head coach of the Medina Mustangs. They're 5-1 right now in Class North, C North. Thank you very much for joining me, Eric. I appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy.
All right. Yeah, take care, man. See you.
All right, see you.
Explore your next idea. Blaze new trails. Imagine new ways to do things. What will you do next?
We've got a VIP at 3 o'clock.
We're gonna go side right pick, Riptide Blazer, safety key, full boat up 3. On now, ready? They're all VIPs.
Go Team Wester.
300 Level Media is a locally owned and operated multi-purpose media company right here in Western New York. You'll find us everywhere, covering the Bills, Sabres, Buttes, Bisons, Big Four basketball, local college sports, and much more. Our staff offers a variety of media services, from video production, live event coverage, audio broadcasts, professional voiceovers, camera operation, and videography. Visit www.300levelmedia.com or give us a call at 716-427-2600. This is 300 Level Media.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
All right, boys and girls, welcome back to Western New York High School Football Weekly. We're running them down just as quick as Tom and Tim want us to. They're pushing all the buttons today. You wanted to call me out or something with the Medina interview?
Listen, Eric Valley, you know better than this. That he said we doubted you. Those words never came out of my mouth. Those words came out of his mouth. In fact, if I remember last year, your team stood behind me and wanted to say that Frank and Francis were the two that doubted you. Wasn't me.
Yes. Anywho, moving on. Let's go take a look at Class C specifically. You're going to see the C North and South show up on your screen any second. Thank you, Timmy. Look who's number one all of a sudden. Head coach Eric Valley and the Medina Mustangs at 5-1. Now, Newfane right behind him at 4-1, and so is Cleve Hill and Alden. The top four teams there are going to advance into the playoffs. I think Medina played them. I think they were going to get into the playoffs anyways, Tom. But now, can they hold on to the top seed in C North? We're about to find out. Newfane's got at least one more game in their division,
Newfane's
right?
Cleve Hill's this weekend.
And are you guys doing that game?
We're doing it Saturday.
Okay, you're doing that game. And Cleve Hill's right behind him at 4-1. Then Alden 4-1, and Akron 3-3 could. I don't know what Akron's got this week.
I think the loss to Cleve Hill is what knocked them
hurt
out right there. Alden still has Cleve Hill, and Alden does have Akron. So it needs to be Akron has to beat Alden right there. Can also beat Cleve Hill in there to really start making it a little bit muddier. Because if I'm correct, Cleve Hill also still has Medina left.
Well, Cleve Hill has Alden.
And
Medina did a number on Cleve Hill early in the year, but
yeah,
see, Akron has some help here if they need it.
Cleve Hill last 2 weeks, Newfane, Alden.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are right there. They've got to win one of those. But remember, you look at Cleve Hill. If they drop down into a tie with Akron, they get the tiebreaker.
So Akron, though, has Alden, and then they've got – I just had it up here and I lost it. But Akron does have Alden, and then I think they got – no, they don't have Cleve Hill. That's right, because Cleve Hill just beat them. But Wilson. Akron has Alden, and that's the only game. But Alden has two more games left, I think, against class opponents. So can they pick on Alden? Can Alden all of a sudden drop out of things, Tom? If they have the loss this week –
so Alden
to
Akron.
Akron.
Week,
that's
right?
Akron's got to win that game.
Absolutely. Akron has to win that game and then have Cleve Hill turn around the following week and beat Alden.
Yeah, and right now with the running game of Cleve Hill and Alden having the issues they have on the line with the loss of Westmiller, that's now a game that's winnable. We might not have thought that was a winnable game a couple weeks ago.
But remember, this was also against a top Medina team right there. The week before, without Westminster, they turn around and beat Newfane. So they're not by any stretch out of it. I just think this Medina team is hitting on all cylinders is what the difference is.
It could be for sure. So those are your top 4.5 to 5 teams in North. Now C, Salamanca hasn't been beaten. They're at 6-0. Chautauqua Lake 5-1 right behind them, and then it gets ugly. There's some conflicts there with Portville, Faulkner, and then Eden. But I do believe Portville and Faulkner both have the tiebreaker there, so they should finish right there. And if anything, Tom, Faulkner drops out and Southwestern jumps in, because if you look at it, Southwestern to close out the season, they do get this week. They do get Fredonia, and then they get Faulkner. So Southwestern can play themselves back into this playoff conversation here, and they've been one of those teams that's kind of been waiting in the wings. So I'm not going to count Southwestern out at all. Eden, North Collins, let's just take a look there real quick. Eden, they do get Falconer and then Salamanca. So Salamanca tough, but the way things have been going for Falconer, you can't count that one out. Eden very well could get maybe considered an upset to some, but not to where we're sitting after we know what's been going on in Falconer. Eden has a chance to keep their playoff hopes alive. A win this week, they're in the playoffs.
Well, remember, Southwestern has a win over Eden.
Yeah.
So if Southwestern were to beat Falconer, actually, they would leapfrog them. It would be Southwestern that would still get that number 4
And they get
spot.
Fredonia this week, Southwestern. Moving on to D, CSP remains undefeated in the D League at 3-0. Randolph 3-1. They're starting to come on alive at the end, but is anyone really able to take down CSP and D? I just don't see it happening, Tom. I know going to Pine Valley's much improved. Franklinville, Ellicottville, little inconsistent there. Wilson's struggling and Cat Little Valley's struggling in D right now. CSP looks like the front runner again this year. Can Randolph do anything to narrow that gap with CSP? I don't know, but they are striking oil at the right time.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
The Falconer team. Early in this season, did we agree that this was going to be a really good team?
Tom, at the beginning of the year, I thought Falconer had a great opportunity to get back to high mark. Too many injuries. One player was thrown out of a game and ended up quitting. Falconer's in real trouble right now. That's not the same team that came out. Mathis Bear losing that player who was a top player in Class C, maybe not the top player, but among the conversation. Once he was done, he's irreplaceable.
Remember, that Randolph-Falconer game week 1 was 14-14 at halftime.
And then the weather.
Correct. So it's not like this Randolph team hasn't shown it. Now, we weren't at the Randolph CSP game, so I'm not going to sit here and say, that it was perfect. But you look at
what they did at Franklinville, Ellicottville.
Well, that's the one I'm looking at right there.
You can't,
You can't deny it. And it was we couldn't believe how they came out of the house on that one. And then to be able to even follow it up the next week, something's really starting to click down there with this Randolph team. It really is. And if you're counting them out and think they can't be in the game, folks, get ready. They're ready to make their run.
That's why I'm very interested in that game with Salamanca this week. I know it's a non-conference game, but Salamanca offers a lot of challenges to Randolph, similar to CSP. Now, they don't have the passing game with CSP, but up front, if Randolph can get through and get some pressure on Maddox Isaac and get him running around, forcing bad throws, maybe it proves to them that, hey, if we can get Tate Katniss out of the pocket and get him running like he has been most of the season and get him to make some bad choices, which he did at least once or twice in that Franklinville-Ellicottville game, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If they can get him moving and disrupt those receivers off the line, can Randolph do anything here? Brent Brown's a sensational coach, been around forever. This is a huge game for Randolph. I know it's not conference, but what they can figure out about themselves against a top team like Salamanca will give them confidence if they end up facing a CSP, and it looks like they might face a CSP in the stadium.
And I will say this, I don't think they even need to win that game against Salamanca. I just think they need to
figure something
close,
out,
right?
Yeah.
And can they run the ball, and can their line hold up against a line like Salamanca, which we know is big and strong?
Frewsburg and Allegheny Limestone, our 8-man team. We're not getting any stats from Frewsburg on the site. We're not getting much at all. If you can get in touch with the school AD down there or the coach, they're on the Section 6 football website. I encourage you guys to use that so we can talk about your team and highlight some of the great things going on down there. All we know so far is that they beat Allegheny Limestone once.
That was the second week.
Yeah, the Wellsville, the Holly, the Pembroke game. Would love to know what happened there. I think they got some scores, but it's not we're talking about at this point. Power rankings. Timmy Gardner is anxious to show everybody the rankings this week between Tom and myself. Let's do the small school first. We had a lot of contested discussion here last week.
Yeah.
Look how they're shaping up. They're not too far off. I mean, we both like our top fours are close. I mean, we both have Health in 3. We said last week, I don't have Pioneer much higher than Lackawanna, but I think they just have a little bit more balance and depth at this point. We'll have to wait and see. And again, Pioneer has been on at the top. You got to knock them off. And Health, we really should. I personally think Health is a top 1 or 2 team in B. But the way things started for them with the loss at Star Point, at least right now, Health Sciences is firing on all cylinders. South Park, yeah, they've got a great running game, a strong line, not bad quarterback play. I don't know if they're in the top 3, top 2 at this point. Pioneer handled them pretty well. We'll have to wait and see. I do like South Park, though. I don't want to move them out of my top 5. And then you've got Salamanca, and I've got Maryville there.
That's our biggest discrepancy. And
Yeah.
listen, here's my problem with the Maryville thing. Do I think when they are healthy, they are a top 3-4 team? 100%. They're just not healthy right now. And when they get to the time where they get that first time where these guys are all hitting on all cylinders and playing together, watch, they will fly up the rank.
I will ask you one question, and it's a what if, and I know we hate the what if game. If Maryville beats Olean, where do you have Maryville?
Same spot.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't have Depew in my rankings either.
No, you don't.
And that's where that was a 16-12 game between Maryville and Depew right there.
Yeah. I do like Maryville. I switched mine up. My 8, 9, 10 has switched up a little bit from last week. I couldn't keep Medina out any longer, Tom. CWB, I don't think I had them in last week. I think I wanted to put them in.
I had them in. You did.
Yeah. But I think they're worthy of that spot. And, there's a couple other teams that probably could be fighting for that last spot. But we're splitting hairs at that point. We like our top 4, top 5, top 6, 7, whatever you want to call it. I think we're all on the same page right there.
Will South made my team.
Will South made your list. Yeah. What was your thought process going into the Will South?
I think this is a team that is getting hot at the right time. And that win over Grand Island, to me, was tremendous.
It wasn't so much their offense. It was their defense against Grand Island that really spoke volumes to me. Not in my top 10 at this moment. I want to see another back-to-back performance. Let's say maybe we'll start talking a little bit more about Will South. I could see them creeping in there depending on what they do this week.
Played Health Science is great, right? Really had a great win over Grand Island. I think this is a team that really's got some big wins. And then now they've got some other ones coming up that I can't wait to see.
I mean, I know they looked really good against West Seneca East, but I looked at the West Seneca East record at the time and I wasn't impressed. So that's one of the reasons why I leaned a little bit against them. I like them. I mean, Kemmer East is a struggling team right now. South Park won by 30 points. Health Sciences, won by a couple of touchdowns there, but did play them tough. Struggled with Amherst, which is only a 2-win team right now. And like I mentioned earlier, West Seneca East having a struggle team. Yeah, I got to see how they do against Pioneer. Tom, I don't need them to win that game for me to think less of them or more of them. If they can hang in there with Will South for 3 quarters, then they're going to get my attention right away.
Yep. And then look, right now, we talked about those B3s. Depew, Olean, Springville, to me, are all right on the edge, pending on what they can do against some of these big teams. And the team I struggled keeping off this list, and I said it to you off air, watch out. We just talked about them a lot. Randolph is on the verge of making this list to me also.
Yeah, I could see them creeping into it. I mean, so who do you take out? That's just it.
Well, but we got
out?
some matchups that are coming up, right? Pioneer Will South is going to be a one right there. Lackawanna Maryville is going to be a big game that we're going to go ahead and see, right? Salamanca, let's see how they do against Randolph, right? What happens there? There's so many big matchups still left to go out here to really see how things go. And then think about it. Newfane, right? Cleve Hill. These are all other teams, too, that we've got to wait to see with some of those head-to-head matchups that are coming up to see how they can go in and cause havoc with these rankings.
And I wanted to, even last week, wanted to put CSP up another spot. They did beat Salamanca handily last year.
Yeah.
I just like the line play of Salamanca more than I do of CSP at this point in time, Tom. I don't know
Agreed.
I'm not saying CSP couldn't beat Salamanca right now. I think play the game. We'll see what happens. I think it would be a lot closer than it was last year. Wouldn't be surprised if it went one way or the other. I just like the overall line play of Salamanca, and that's why I have them a little bit higher than CSP this
Agree.
week.
And I agree with that same assessment.
But honestly, it's like flipping a coin.
But Medina was my one that came out of the wasn't ranked this year and came up high.
Yeah, you put them up
I
there.
just think that their momentum right now, that's the game I wanted to see, was that Alden game.
So what my concern with Medina is the concern you had last year for Lackawanna, defending the pass. And I think those passing offenses of like a CWB, I think that's what keeps them ranked higher than Medina for me. That was my thought process. I got to see a passing attack against Medina.
Akron had one in the game that we did. Granted, it was their third quarterback, but they were doing everything to pass against them. And the problem they had was this defensive line was just not giving the quarterback time to throw.
So that's why I'm saying if you give me a starting quarterback, like Akron's starting quarterback, Patterson, probably would have been able to handle that a little bit, the pressure a little bit better. I'm not saying he would have done better, put up more yards, but I think it would have been able to react quicker. Again, you're a starting quarterback.
Absolutely.
You face that kind of pressure. So that's why I have CWB ahead of Medina. I want to see them face a couple more passing attacks before I give them even more respect. But they have my attention for sure. Why don't we go to the large school rankings, Tom? And how are we on this? We're not too. Look at you with Kenmore West. Francis is going to be pissed. He sees Ken West on here twice. Oh, the poor guy. I got him producing the Ken East, Ken West game. I wanted him to have a front row seat for that one. Just kidding. But we like Canisius.
You went backwards with Clarence. Clarence was higher for you last week.
You know what, Tom?
I thought we weren't allowed to do ties.
Did we? Wow, are we close?
You did a tie. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I moved Orchard Park up, Tom. I moved Orchard Park up after watching that Jamestown game, and then last week, I think, and then seeing St. Francis and St. Joe's. I think there's still a little bit of a gap there. Maybe we're giving, I don't want to say we're giving St. Joe's too much respect too quick. I think next year is going to be the year for Joe's. I think they need a little bit more experience, and then you might see them maybe consistently be up in that top 5, maybe even top 4. We'll have to wait and see. I could have put.
Well, Joe's dropped out of mine, and the only
dropped out of
reason
yours.
they did was I haven't seen them move the ball offensively enough. All right, think about the points that really have been put up on the board. They haven't been big offensively. Now again, you went against 2 of the top teams.
They have big plays.
Yep.
They make big plays, but they don't consistently move that ball downfield. But they do have big-time playmakers. They just don't do it enough.
I really believe that this game against McKinley will be really understand a little bit more about St. Joe's and what they're capable of doing. I actually can't wait for this game Thursday night because I do think it's a way to get them back into the rankings to see how they're comparing against some of the Section 6 teams. But Ken West, listen, obviously right here is I look at the Clarence and Orchard Park thing. If I feel that if Orchard Park was at full strength on their line, I may have moved them up there a little bit.
Okay.
But obviously that's where their injuries are. And then when you look at, you've got 2 fantastic quarterbacks in Ciano and Tubin right there. But I think the advantage why I've got Clarence right there is solely because of the line right now, if they were to go ahead one-on-one. Orchard Park has got the win over Sweet Home, which is why I got Orchard Park above them. And then again, that's why Sweet Home I've got over Ken West right there. Will North, to me, has been playing some of their best football right now. And then Jamestown, to me, cannot leave this 10 just because look at the losses.
Yeah.
It's a 1 point to Orchard Park. It's a 7 point to Lancaster, a 4 point to Bennett. I just think against these teams, they played too well to not have their name there.
And so the reason why I don't have Will North in there just yet, Tom, is I'm going back to earlier in the season, a loss with East, and then Williamsville East, and then West Seneca West. Those 2 losses, for me at least, is what kept them off my rankings this week. When I went back and looked, those were the key losses. Now, Ken West, your losses are to Clarence and Sweet Home, 2 of the top teams in Class A. You know, they're right there, right in my 7 and 8, and they're your 5 and 7. So those are 2 of Kenmore West losses. That's why I have Kenmore West ahead of Will North, at least for this week.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, is I do think, listen, what if McKinley wins this week? Boy, McKinley's going to hop right in there. There's no doubt that that's going to happen. Will North and Clarence is going to be a big game. Again, Will North's got the chance to right now prove that they could go up even higher.
I will tell you, Tom, McKinley, to me, is a lot better than the record in the way they played last year. There's too many good football players there right now. I have a feeling they're going to turn it around quickly. But this St. Joe's game, they got to be up for it.
Yeah.
I mean, here's an opportunity to play a top-notch private school and then get your season back on track. They need to win that game tomorrow night to get that jump back on their step, because you had a couple of brutal losses here last few weeks. But there's too many good football players in that locker room, and the coaching staff at McKinley is almost second to none. Look at all these guys you got on that McKinley staff.
Nope,
so they'll be ready for this game. They're looking forward to it. I can't wait. I guess I'll head over there.
Well, I'll actually be on the broadcast.
You will be. So Thursday, what games are you at Thursday?
Thursday, I've got the St. Joe's McKinley game. Friday, I am at
Will North, or
I'm at the Will North Clarence game.
Okay, I'm gonna hit that one too.
And then Saturday, I'm at the Newfane Cleve Hill game.
So you got three really big matchups there. Again, tomorrow night, St. Joe's McKinley. That'll be on. What one's that on, Timmy? Is that on NFHS? NFHS broadcast. Orchard Park and Niagara Wheatfield. West Seneca West at Frontier and Albion at Looport. Someone's got to win that game. Those are. I mean, the game of the night is obviously St. Joe's McKinley. If I had to pick a 1A, it'd probably be maybe the West Seneca Frontier game in terms of competition. I don't see Orchard Park having too tough a time with Niagara Wheatfield. Too great. I know Cecilic isn't a basketball coach, but the Orchard Park, don't they have their head basketball coach on the staff too?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be good to see him and Eric O'Brien go, hey, this
More
will be
basketball, right?
trading any barbs. Hey, how many schedule a few more cream puffs in the early season over there. I can see those two guys having some words. They're good guys. Friday night, the game, Williamsville East at Grand Island is not a bad one, Tom.
Agreed. Star Point Sweet Home.
Star Point Sweet Home we talked about. What was that? Chautauqua Lake go on to Pine Valley. You got two nice quarterbacks going at it. CWB's got a lot of offensive power. A lot of good games still. Salamanca Randolph, another one with some.
Agreed.
Gonna have to pay attention to that one. I think Randolph's cutting the ribbon on their new field.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be pretty cool. Congrats to them on the new field. That's going to do it for another. Oh, Hall Pass. Wait a second. Am I done after this, though? I can introduce the Hall Pass and then I can leave? I got to get somewhere. We got places to be. All right. So we're going to end the show with the latest edition of the Mario Hall Pass from Jamestown. What do you do? Jamestown, Lancaster? Jamestown, Lancaster from last week. Great video. First time seeing it for you and for me. Looking forward to it. For Tim Gardner producing, Tom Prince, I'm Frank Wolf. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel, Western New York High School Football Weekly. Adios.
Visualize all this night as senior night. You just got introduced. You can smell the popcorn, the fresh cut dewy grass. You can hear the crowd. How about Mr. Fabata saying shortly? And that's the legend's first down. You control the outcome tonight. You decide how this game ends. Now you go make sure Jamestown never forgets the night they played Lancaster. And as Coach Boyle said, they may like to play football, but not tonight against Lancaster. Every point counts!
Fourth down and 3. Snap. Handoff for Bonta at the line of scrimmage. He's hit hard. Tries to fight forward. It'll come down to the spot near the sticks, but he looks short, and it is. Gonzalez rolls to his left. Pressure coming, wrapped up and thrown down. Nathan Myers. Krupa, hand off to Ahern. He's got explosive ability, gets into the secondary, bumps off 2 tacklers. Space to his right. Ahern down inside the 5, chased down. First and goal at the 3 after the gain of 30 plus. Hand off to Ahern, up the middle, touchdown. Lancaster in the end zone first. Two receivers to the right, Bonta in the backfield. It's a give to the running back. Chase Bonta gets into the secondary at the 40-yard line, still fighting for extra yards. Alex Krupa in the gun, takes a snap high, hands it off low for Ahern, follows his blockers up the right side. Ahern turns the corner at the near numbers at the 30. For second and goal at the 2. Ball's out. Gonzalez handed it off, and the fumble is recovered by guess who? Nathan Myers. Left, one to the right. Krupa takes a snap, looks that way. Gang turns upfield, throw to him on the far sideline. One-handed catch falls incomplete at the 44-yard line. Step drop, looks to air it out deep down the middle of the field. 3 defenders are there and it's intercepted. Dominic Gonzalez at his own 26-yard line read it off the hands of Krupa. They're waiting for the clock to get started at 12 minutes, and now it's put up on the scoreboard. A bit of a delay, but we're set for the second half on Friday Night Lights. Jamestown trails Lancaster 7-0. 2 at the 38. Bonta fake of the give. Gonzalez up the middle, runs right into Jack Mikolas, who pushes him all the way back 5 yards behind. Territory at the 15. Krupa in the gun, takes the snap, pump fakes the throw to the right, throws to the end zone near pylon. It is tipped and incomplete. Jericho Thager. Turnover on downs, punt. First and 10 at their own 15. Throw from Gonzalez over the middle, it's caught. Nobody in front of Aiden Samuelson. Inside Lancaster territory, touchdown. us, one split far outside. On the right, it's a handoff for Ahern. Pushes off his blocker, gets a burst of speed as he enters the secondary to the near sideline. He cuts out of bounds. Fourth and 1. Handoff Ahern. He's met by Bonta. Stopped. A turnover on downs. Lead Gonzalez. Handoff Bonta. Left side. Pushes forward. Inside the 5. The pile falls towards the end zone to our right. Touchdown. Tied the game at 7 with his last kick. This one to give him a 7-point lead. It is blocked. Nathan Myers on the ball. Scoop. To the left, bringing 3 receivers to the left of Krupa. He looks that way, throws for Gang on the sideline. It's caught at the 45, across midfield. A huge first down and a flag. .220 to go in the game. Throw to the end zone. Krupa caught. Justin Hartwig. Tight end on the right side, Gonzalez in the pocket, rolls to his left, pressure coming, pitches it ahead to Bonta, chase from behind, he's tackled at the 36, 4 yards shy of the yard to gain. It's a turnover on down. Lancaster will take their time. John Gang, the quarterback, on the ground, finds a hole up the middle, he breaks free. John Gang, nothing but green. He will take a seat at the 3-yard line. One-point lead for Lancaster. Gang takes it, runs to his right. He's got a blocker. He can score if he wants, and he does. John Gang with time expiring.